Bright lights in a V-shape, maybe a massive ship miles wide, right over Phoenix. Hundreds, maybe thousands of people saw them on March 13th, 1997.
Look at that. There's another one.
They're lined up in a pattern.
24 years later,
I got 4 of them.
we still don't know what the Phoenix lights were.
Major sighting here.
But now a lot more people are taking them and other unidentified flying objects more seriously. Dr. Lynn Kitai watched the Phoenix lights arrive. She's one of the few people with photographs of them, and for years she stayed quiet, afraid of being branded crazy.
Now that the military and the government have actually come forward to say, yes, we are studying them. The Pentagon has been studying them.
In the last year and a half, there have been some massive bombshells in the UFO community. For starters, the US government says they're real, and they were researching them.
There's a whole fleet of them. Look on the ASA.
Like these videos from the US Navy. After they were leaked, the US military confirmed they were real.
One thing, project.
This is not a joke. This is real. Something. Even though I don't know what they are, I just want to know who they are, who's driving these things.
For years, there was this stigma. These were the people with crazy beliefs. These were conspiracy theorists. Now, it seems that these are the people, they were the people who were right.
Nick Pope led the British government's version of the X-Files. He investigated UFO sightings for the Ministry of Defense in the early 90s, something the US government claimed for decades it didn't do.
The official position of the United States government was, we have not had a UFO program since the end of 1969 when Project Blue Book was terminated, and nobody is interested in this. Well, I choose my words carefully, but perhaps we were not being told the entire picture.
But in reality, a handful of military groups have been investigating UFO sightings since 2007, and may still be doing it today.
I think people's perception of UFOs has changed fundamentally, and this whole subject has come out of the fringe and into the mainstream.
That's what we need, more credible voices coming forward.
Like the Phoenix lights, tons of regular people saw them, most had no special training. But a private pilot also reported them to the FAA that night. The pilot who reported the sighting? Actor Kurt Russell.
Tail number for that plane was Bonanza 2 Tango Sierra, and I was the pilot. No way.
He stayed silent for years, only coming forward on British TV in 2017.
We're maybe a half a mile out, and Oliver said, "Pa, what are those lights?" And I then it kind of like came out of my reverie, and I said, "I don't know what they are." I said, he said, "Are we okay here?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm gonna call him," and I reported it.
And as recently as February, when an American Airlines pilot reported seeing something fly over his plane over New Mexico.
I hate to say this looked like a long cylindrical object. It almost looked like a cruise missile type of thing moving really fast that went right over the top of us.
American Airlines confirmed the sighting and said the FBI is investigating.
Some people can't deal with this topic. Some people don't want to. And that's okay. Everyone in their own time.
Because of all this, Kitai and other UFO believers say it's time for more people to take it seriously. They say something's up there, and they want to know what it is. William Pitts, 12 News.
March 13th, 1997. This event called Lights Over Phoenix. What did you see?
Well, I saw a huge craft just kind of come right over Squaw Peak. That was, it was just breathtaking, and I'm not sure about the date. You've got a better memory
March
for the
13th.
dates than I do. Yeah.
But there was no, like the Clinton day, no.
No. No. I was on a strict diet. No, I'm serious. I'm serious now. That unquestionably it was a UFO, which means unidentified flying object.
Right. Doesn't mean we're being visited.
Well, it's nothing like anything I've ever seen.
And you're an Air Force guy.
Yeah, and a pilot. Got a lot of hours flying. So it was pretty breathtaking. And I'll never forget, I snuck out to see it, without DPS, which I'm not supposed to be driving my own car and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so, but I told Ann what I was doing. I was going to go up to Squaw Peak and see what everybody was, clamoring about. And when I walked in the front door, she looked at me, and I was apparently just, normally I'm fair complected and pale anyway, right? And she said, "Oh my gosh," she said, "she looked like a ghost. What did you see?" And I said, "Well, I don't know what I saw, but it was really something, and I'm not going to talk about it." And
wow.
So,
did it frighten you?
No, I think I was kind of in awe, really, you know.
How big?
Bigger than anything I've ever seen in the sky.
Like an aircraft carrier in the sky?
Yeah, something like that, yeah. And it was hard to define because of the light in terms of the size, but it was absolutely silent and had sort of eerie embedded lights, and you know, so that's what I saw, and I wasn't expecting to see anything because I was looking out over at Luke
right.
to the west, and then all of a sudden these people in the park area just on the west side of 51, there were a bunch of people there. Everybody said, "Oh, look at that!" And we turned around, and this thing was coming from the northwest, traveling to the southeast.
We now know, and it really hit me when we were watching the Diamondbacks in Game 7, and the B-1 flew over over the pot.
Yeah, it wasn't a B-1 bomber.
But that thing all of a sudden out of nowhere appears. And, I said to somebody that night, I said, well, you know, when they do test these, they test them in populated areas. They're new stuff. They test it to see if people detect it. Do you believe it was ours? Do you believe it was something from the U.S. government that they were kind of flying around?
No, it wasn't even close to a B. It was much bigger than a B-1. A B-1 actually isn't that big. I mean,
right.
I mean, if it's at low altitude, it'll appear big, but no, this was totally different.
Something, though, that you think our own government may have been kind of running by a populated area to see what would happen?
Well, they certainly achieved their goal of stirring the pot, if that's what they were doing. But I don't think so. I think this was technologically far advanced. I use the analogy. Can you imagine if you took Christopher Columbus and put him in the cockpit of a Boeing 777? What his reaction would be? He wouldn't understand it. He would be convinced that this is something from another world, you know.
Is that what?
And I think I really believe that. I believe that. But I've always been open to that. You know, we're not alone in the universe.
I agree with you.
We're going to find that. We're going to find that out one way or the other. Even Bill Clinton was talking about that the other day on the national news.
I saw that.
Yeah.
I do believe that we're not alone. I just don't know that we've been visited. But you think maybe that night we were?
I think so, yeah. There have been so many different sort of sightings and inexplicable phenomena that, you know, but the disparity in terms of technological progress would be so vast that we would be, I think, of sort of no consequence to whoever is visiting us, because the technology to get here would be just beyond anything we could imagine.
Did it hover?
No, it was just going in a straight line.
Slow pace?
Yeah, slow pace, yeah. And then, you know, there were all the sightings.
Flares.
There were the sightings of the America West plane coming into Sky Harbor, said he could have landed on it.
It was enormous.
Yeah.
Like an aircraft carrier in the sky? Is that about as close as
I think that's a fair description,
oh my God.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting.
Maybe it's our next generation we're working on. Who knows?
Well, we'll find out at some day.